let me tell you a bit about what SmartAssets does and how it differs from other creative testing. SmartAssets is a suite of solutions for creative effectiveness, but they're all built on the same three things: tagging, analytics, and optimization. We use image recognition technology to tag up statics and videos at a high level of detail. So not only do we pick up objects, brand architecture, colors, but also things like emotions. This creates a massive metadata set which we can then cross-reference with media data and a variety of scores, including behavioral science measures, to understand not just which asset is performing better, as many historical solutions have done, but what specifically about that asset for your audience on that platform is engaging them. So for example, that might be whether or not having the price on the asset matters, and indeed how much it matters. We can correlate that with things like click-through and conversion where the data is available to us, and we can start to predict. So when you create a new asset, because we've trained our models on all of your history, we can predict how that's going to perform and make specific creative recommendations to drive better performance and engage customers better. I was at a panel on Monday where one of the panelists consistently said AI is not creative. And that really worried me, because AI is creative. It learns and it envisions things and it comes up with suggestions, right? That's quite different from taste making, right? So I always say, would we have known that Chanel could have got rid of the corset? You know, if we had had the data sets of socioeconomic conditions, her social group and influence, how well her brand was already doing, that to identify now is the right time for the zeitgeist to say we're getting rid of corsets, maybe AI could have worked that out, right? But actually, you don't know what you don't know. So that's one part of it where I think the creatives still have a huge role to play in hypothesizing from their human perspective on what they think may or may not work. And then we can help them with data to really prove that out and indeed celebrate great creative as much as find areas for improvement. So when we talk about ethics and AI, obviously if we're training the model on historical data, some of the social mores that were in those assets historically, we may not be comfortable with now. So there's a good question about how do we ensure that the stuff we're creating now is current, is relevant, and is also safe and clean for brands. And the way that we do that is we structure our prompts to the model very carefully. We also use machine learning that is much more deterministic. And if the brand says, I don't want to see this in my content, then we say to the model, do not include this in your content. Do not include assets with this in it. We want to exclude that from the analysis. So there are lots of ways that you can control for that with really good quality prompting and understanding how machine learning works in conjunction with AI. So this new form of creative testing is helping brands realize a few things, right? So one is that you don't have to spend a lot of money to do creative testing, right? Historical solutions, when you look at media channels, you've got things like DCO. In DCO, you have to create multiple versions of an asset and put media behind them and throw them at the internet to work out after a period of time what is and isn't working. And the setup is very complex. That's very costly. They're realizing now that there's this wealth of data of what they've already done in the past that they can leverage to predict without having to spend and do all of that risk and costly live testing. That's the one thing. The second thing is about going beneath asset level. You know, brands will be like, that campaign was great. What was in the asset? Oh, it had a dog in it. Right, put a dog in the next one, and then it bombs, right? What we're going down to is atomizing the asset down. So we don't just say this is a better asset, but we say these are the things about that asset and this is how much those things are driving better engagement. And I think that is also a trend that we're looking at to get more into the more granular level of creative effectiveness.